Welcome back, everybody, to Brown Bag Bets, powered by BetSperts. We are your daily dose of quick hit handicapping and sports betting picks. I'm Alex Christensen, and joining me, as always, on Tuesdays, Mr. Matt Rooney. We leave Andy over at the BetSperts Golf Channel. It really is just Matt and I today. Producer Dan is somewhere wandering around a golf course, hopefully making good use of his media credentials, taking lots of notes about roughs and things like that. But how's it going, Matt? What'd you think of that hockey game? Pretty boring third period, huh?
I'm trying to balance the whole producing the show. You'll click on the right banner here, click on the right. You see, I put in the overlay halfway after the intro was over. I'm trying to balance both here. I'm doing good though. We're talking before the show. The hockey game got a little out of control, so I flipped over to my White Sox, which was a little closer towards the end than I'd like, but we still got to win. Last night, I hate to say Andy was right with his hockey bet that he just kind of bet in hopes that he would get it right. But he did, and now we have a series, and I'm kind of happy we're not going into Game 4 there in a 3-0 situation. But I don't know if I expected 6-2, but I think last night you didn't expect the Stanley Cup champions, two-time defending Cup champions, to go down without a fight, and I think last night was their fighting back, and now I'm pretty interested to see on what we get from both teams in Game 4.
Yeah, it was perfect as somebody that wanted to get up, watch a little hockey, and then honestly, I went to bed before the third period, and I guess it was a good decision. I didn't miss any goals, and I mean, it was just wild, a back and forth hockey all night, a lot of good shots. I mean, saw a couple really nice give and goes, and those are always my favorite plays when you watch somebody do a nice quick back and forth there. I mean, the puck was moving around. I guess you had to feel a little bad, I guess, for the Avalanche goalie. I mean, not that he was great, but I don't know if necessarily he was as bad as maybe the first period and a half. Look, what did you think? It just seemed to me like Tampa Bay was just hitting all their spots, and I don't know. I'm not sure it mattered who was in net.
A little bit of both. He didn't play very well, but it's not a situation yet where you're, considering going with the backup Pavel Francouz in Game 4, who's actually been really good so far in the playoffs. I think he was 6-0 when he filled in for Darcy Kemper when he got hurt, but Kemper's been their guy all year, and last night wasn't one of those Oilers games where you saw Mike Smith let in, easy one after easy one to Colorado. He played okay. He wasn't terrible. But, some goals he probably wants back, but, the Lightning had their fastball last night, and sometimes that just happens. I didn't think Colorado was terrible. I just thought you saw, the Lightning kind of jump out to that lead. They did get I don't want to say a cheap goal or two, but got themselves out to a lead. And when a team like that who plays that well at home, I think they're 6-1 or 6-1 at home in the playoffs so far. I think they've won like 14 of their last 15, something like that at home. They're a really tough team to beat down in Tampa, and you saw it last night. I expect Game 4 to be a more closely contested game. I don't really see either team kind of pulling away. I think you'll see more of like a Game 1 type. I guess I can pop up the odds here for Game 4. This is my fault. This is usually Dan's the one popping up the graphics. I'll throw up the banner here. But as you can see, Vegas has this one right down the middle, minus 110 for each. I actually believe Tampa was a slight favorite this morning. I think they were around minus 115. Colorado was around minus 105, so money's going back to Colorado. But this is it's a huge game in the series because, part of it when you go down 0-2, you're upset. Obviously, you're down 0-2, but when you go down 0-2, you kind of actually have some of that pressure leave you a little bit, I want to say, and you kind of play a little bit. Obviously, you got to go out and win Game 3, but you're already down 0-2. You play a little bit looser sometimes, and I think that's what happened. And now you go into Game 4. All of a sudden, there's a little bit of pressure, especially the way they lost. It wasn't a 4-3 overtime loss there. It was a 6-2 loss on the road. There's a little bit more pressure on a Colorado team who has gotten as far as they've gone in the last few years, but they've also flamed out in the playoffs after taking 2-0 series leads in the second round. And they're a team that's, been prone to letting those leads slip away. And when you have a team like Tampa who might be able to smell a little bit of doubt, that's a concern for sure. But I'm interested to see what we get in Game 4 because Tampa absolutely made it a series last night. We've all expected that. We all expected this to be a 6 or 7 game series. I don't think that changes. But Game 4 is going to be a lot of fun. Really looking forward to that. And I think Vegas really shows you what they think of it too. It's right down the middle. It's a coin toss.
Yeah, what'd you think of the total sitting there at 6? Looks like it's just about the same as last night. Starting to get juiced towards the under. Again, being a complete novice, but it looks to me like just the pace of the way these two teams want to play. Man, there's going to be 5-6 goals in every one of these games, right? I mean, even if Vasilevsky is incredible, it seems like there's a ton of opportunities.
Yeah, I mean, I know Colorado only had the 2 last night, but when their totals are at 6, and like you said, kind of trending like the unders kind of the play here. Even in the playoffs, you kind of have to take it because they play so fast, and then Tampa does a good job of still playing their game and not falling into trying to go goal for goal with Colorado, because that's really, trading chance for chance with a team like that's really tough. But they're also a team capable of going on a few runs like that, playing a high octane game, and they're going to score their fair share of goals too. But anytime you have Colorado in a situation where the total's at 6 and there's value on the over, I think you kind of have to look for it, because last night was kind of that was the least productive you'll see them offensively, and they still put up 2 goals and had a bunch of shots on goal. And kind of that third period, I don't want to say they packed it in, because they didn't pack it in, but they were down 6-2, and Tampa was able to play a little bit more of a keep away kind of game, and not really somewhat of a prevent defense type game where they're not giving up the big chances and they're letting Colorado chip away with, easier shots for Vasilevsky to see. So the third period was kind of always destined to not really be high scoring when you have a team like Tampa protecting a 4-goal lead. So I really like that over total. It's weird to say that in the Stanley Cup playoffs that I love an over 6. But with these two teams and Colorado's goaltending situation combined with how good their offense is, I think the over is a good play there, especially with the value coming in on it.
Yeah, I agree exactly with what you're kind of saying. And maybe to sum it up a different way, those first 2 periods are more indicative of what we're going to see. Not to throw the third period away, but we're not going to see that again unless Tampa Bay has a lead. I mean, would Colorado even kind of hold the puck like that if they had a big lead? I mean, they seem like they just continue to attack no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, you saw Colorado with a big lead in game 2, right? Now, granted, they were at home, so I think they had a little bit more of the crowd behind them and didn't feel that when you have a big lead on the road and you're protecting it, I could see a team like Colorado trying to fall into that and maybe playing a little bit more protective, but also they're a team that doesn't want to get away from their game. And their game is pushing the pace. I think you saw them a little bit in that. Remember that game 1 against Edmonton, the 8-6 barn burner, where they got out to the big lead. I think they were up like 6 or 7-2, and then Edmonton kind of started to come back. I think you saw them in that game kind of try to play the keep away game a little bit for, they got out to the big lead and tried to, sit into that prevent defense and allowed Edmonton to come back. Colorado, I think, knows that's kind of not their game. And I think with the team as good as Tampa, they're going to feel the need to keep their foot on the gas if they have a big lead again, which I think what you saw in game 2. You saw it even in game 1, too, when they're up 3-1. Not that you usually fall into a protective lead, but they're up 3-1, and they kind of kept pushing. Vasilevsky just played really, really well. So they're not really a team that most teams will fall into that kind of trap and play defensive in the third period with the league. Colorado knows that's not their game, and that's not when they play their best hockey. So I don't think you see a team like that do that.
It makes sense. You have to be good at it. There was someone that grew up as a Joe Paterno Penn State fan. There was no team in the world worse at holding a big lead. They would go into this prevent defense that was against everything they had done for 3 quarters. And it's always better to see teams like, that are good, just keep their foot on the gas. But that's something good to sort of note maybe for some live betting there. I mean, if Tampa Bay does go into the third period next game with a big lead, maybe look for an under or something if the total gets up to 7 or 8 or something like that.
Yeah, it's not to say that they wouldn't maybe try and play a little bit more carefully, but they talked about after that game 1 8-6 win over Edmonton, how they got out of their game, and they don't want to do that again. And there's the old adage, do what got you here, play how you got here. And Colorado got here by being faster than everybody, by outchancing everybody and scoring more goals than everybody. And with a team like Tampa that is capable of coming back from really any deficit that has been there before, you really can't take your foot off the gas.
Makes perfect sense. Did you get a chance to listen to the deep dive last night? Vegas Refund did a great job breaking down the draft with Drew and Andy, and it sounds like they agree with a lot of the stuff that we talked about on yesterday's show. Did you get to listen to any of that, though?
I did not, but I have about up at the lake house in Michigan right now. I have about an hour and a half drive home tomorrow. That is on the books for my drive home tomorrow. I'm very excited to listen to that, and I heard very good things about it, and was texting back and forth with Andy a little bit about some NBA draft picks. He's big on the Paolo Banchero. I think
Banchero, we believe.
I thought it was Banchero.
He's Italian, apparently.
I was correct, Andy. I saw his market was like plus 1,000 on PointsBet yesterday. It's down to like plus 400 to go number 1. So that's an interesting shift to me. But I love these drafts because there's the Zion drafts where Zion's 1, Ja's 2. It's a matter of who's getting that pick and, whether or not somebody maybe jumps up in a trade. And there's this one where you don't have the star, but like, who the hell knows what the order is? It could go so many different ways.
Yeah, listen to the deep dive. They do a great job of breaking it down. We talked about it yesterday, but it just seems like chaos is really possible. I don't think
I love chaos.
anyone really has the top three tied down. And Drew made a great point. A lot of mock drafts, probably about a week or so ago, we're just looking at the odds boards and going, oh, well, let's just do that because, whatever. And, Jabari came out to huge favorite. So you saw everything balance out. Hopefully you grabbed all those numbers yesterday. I think maybe there's still a little value in Paolo to go number one if you could find like plus 400 or better, but I'm pretty sure those are all gone at this point. So we'll see. I did find two more over-unders that I liked. We'll start with Jalen Duran over 10.5 here. Just as I look at him kind of from a basketball perspective, he seems, kind of like his peak in the NBA will be something like a Rudy Gobert, something like that. But as you start to think about big men, especially big men that can't shoot in the league, it's really, really difficult to trust those guys in big games, late in games. And as exciting as he is as a defensive player, and then you start to look at the draft board, a lot of the guys in the top 10 have big men. They don't necessarily need somebody like Jalen Duran. Again, unless he's going to be a top 3 pick, which really doesn't seem at all like it's going to happen. So give me over 10.5 on him. I think he's someone that's definitely going to fall. And then Wendell Moore Jr., he is someone that I think honestly might fall out of the first round. Over 26.5 means, we got to get him to the 27th pick. So at least 5 picks before the first round is over. And it seems to be there's some medical issues popping up for him. And he's been really sliding in mocks the last couple of days. So I think we might see him push, into the 30s, even into the second round. So like both of those, Fred Millionaire Cast means we have the advantage, not the house. Yes, it does. Anytime, just in draft stuff in general, there is no way to project this. There is no real way to handicap this. It's really an information market. So part of the reason that you'll see books offer really low limits, and again, the guys talked about this last night in more depth, that's really, kind of what that means. They don't know how this is going to go, and they've gotten crushed the last couple drafts. It's hard to think that books made any money on the last couple NFL drafts. I know the last NBA draft was just a mess, given with some of those picks, and I wonder how much longer they'll keep putting these up. Even at such low limit. So it does mean we have an advantage, but it does point to maybe how tough this is for books, and I wonder how much longer we'll have the opportunity to do this. So enjoy it while you can.
So I got 2 questions for you. One of them is an overall draft question, not necessarily this one specifically. And then I have a homer question, maybe 2 homer questions for my Bulls. One, why do they have the NBA draft so quickly after the NBA finals? I feel like it's very, as a casual NBA fan on Monday, I was like, oh, didn't know the NBA draft was this week until we started talking about it. It just seems like something that they could, the NFL, maybe not put it off as long as the NFL does, but it seems like something, if you wait like a month, you can kind of start to hype up a little bit more and get some more people like craving basketball.
I think there's a couple things that work here. This year, it does feel like it's a little bit early. I think it's generally a little bit later. I usually remember it being the last week of June, first week of July kind of thing.
Okay.
But I think a lot of it is they want to get it done before free agency starts. And I think also if you put it close to the NBA finals, then at least you're carrying some attention over. You're not quite losing everybody, for that month or so. So I think you kind of keep people on the hook. I think you're right. It'd be nice if it was maybe a week later, but I think they try to squeeze it in to sort of keep the momentum going, and at the same time get it done before free agency, because that's really honestly where a lot of the fun coverage is.
Okay, and then 2, Bulls are picking at I think 16. Are the Bulls going to make that pick? And if they do, who am I looking for? Give me a name, or give me a couple names.
I think that the Bulls do make that pick.
I kind of do too, because I'm not sure what value that pick really holds as a massive.
Well, so here's the lame answer. The way the NBA draft works, you can't really trade picks a lot of times. You can trade players.
Yeah.
So what they'll probably do is draft someone and then maybe trade them the next day. You said they pick what, at 15?
I think it's 15 or 16. They're right around kind of middle of that first round.
Yeah, I'm sorry, 18. I'm looking for the Bulls here. Yeah, 15 would be too close to the lottery. So the Bulls are at 18 here. It looks like, as I'm starting to look at some of these drafts, a guy like Terry Eason, he's a small forward. That kind of makes sense. I feel like you guys are looking for more wings. Maybe if a big falls, a guy like Mark Williams, you might want as a center. That guy, Jalen Duran, I mentioned. If he really starts to tumble and gets out to you guys, he's probably a nice little piece to have for the team. So as I start to think about what you guys need, you're pretty solid at guard, but
kind
I
of a
wonder what
center
happened.
or a 3-and-D kind of wing would be what you kind of said there is my guess as well. They don't have much shooting. They could use some help defensively, as you always can, and the big is important for them.
But I think you're right. That could be a candidate for a pick to trade, maybe try to open up some room. I don't know what kind of players you guys would move. There's odds for Zach LaVine to be on a different team in a few books, but I don't know why you guys would move him. That seems odd.
It is, and the reports are the Bulls are telling teams they've already agreed to the 5-year deal, and Zach LaVine's gonna sign the max contract. And they don't really see how that would be a sign and trade where the Bulls would get enough value back. I think he'll be back with the Bulls next year in that 5-year deal. But there are also whispers about Rudy Gobert, and I know he's been moved, and now I'm seeing, if he might not get moved, but if he does, the Bulls are kind of the main, the lead candidate to go grab him.
Right.
Am I a little skeptical that I know he would make them defensively a lot better, but I kind of don't want a 31-year-old Rudy Gobert who's going to be making $45 million when he's 34.
I guess the question is, do you want him or do you want Vucevic? I mean, that's probably what you're doing there. You're trying to get yourself to a more defensive-minded team, which makes sense given kind of what you have from a guard play. I think Gobert would be a nice fit there. Now, like you said, he's a little bit older, and I think teams have kind of figured him out. But, yeah, that's the way I would try to think about that decision. Ours, what we're going to give up for Gobert, worth how much better he'll be than Vucevic in terms of a fit.
Yeah, and I guess you have to – Vuce, the thing I don't mind about bringing Vuce back for one more year is he's up after next year. And that just – in the NBA, I know all contracts are kind of movable if you find, the right trading partners. But that flexibility, especially for a team like the Bulls that's kind of actually becoming somewhat of a possible free agent destination, seems very important. And I just feel like if you lock in Gobert at a max deal for the next 3 years, you got LaVine locked in, you got Vuce, you got Gobert locked in. DeRozan, I think, is only one more year, but that's a lot of money for not a lot of 1A stars. But
you're trying to solve your team in June, which is never a great idea. So we'll see how that goes. And
it's weird. I have reason to be excited about the Bulls. So I'm actually talking about them in June as opposed to who are they going to mess up with their top 5 pick.
That's right. Yeah, Fran, Terry Eason at plus 550. I don't know if you should bet that. At some point, there's going to be a run on wings, and Eason might not even be there. So it might be Eason. It might be a guy like EJ Liddell. I wonder if you guys would even take Nikola Jovic, something like that. I mean, I know you guys aren't afraid necessarily of taking foreign guys. Malachi Branham might fit in nicely. So we'll see.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to that. Should be a fun Thursday night. The drama in the first, in the lottery of the NBA draft is always really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of deals. I think that it's going to be the most interesting first 5 picks we've had in a long time.
Looking forward to it.
Now, what are we doing today with baseball? We got day ball?
I don't think we have day baseball today unless there's a doubleheader. It's Tuesday. There's not a lot of day baseball.
I'll check because Dan's not here to check.
That's true.
No, it's just night games. Oh, well, just tennis this afternoon.
I went just White Sox today because baseball betting is hard. And if you're not really focused on the major leagues and paying really close attention to Major League Baseball and knowing every team, not necessarily inside and out, but well enough, it's very difficult. And right now my focus has been on the NHL and the White Sox. So I'm going to stick to what I've been actually kind of focused on here with the White Sox. They have a game 2 of a pretty important series with Toronto. They won 8-7 in a pretty fun back and forth type game last night. Their offense is really starting to come around. The Blue Jays have one of, if not the best offenses in baseball. I think I saw on the broadcast too, these two teams are lead the AL in, hard hit baseballs. They measure exit velocity and all that. And I believe the White Sox and Blue Jays are 1 and 2 in that category. So they're really hitting the ball well. Kevin Gausman throws for the Blue Jays. He's been good this year, but the Sox got to him last time when they played in Toronto. I think they put up 4 or 5 runs on him. Dylan Cease is throwing for the White Sox and is, despite having all the stuff in the world to be very good, he tends to struggle. Can't really throw strikes against the better lineups in the big matchups. And if you give a team like Toronto a lot of base runners and chances with guys on base, they usually drive those guys in, get themselves some runs. So I like the over 9 at close to even money tonight. Like I said, last night I went to 15 in probably a better pitching matchup, or at least equivalent one. So I'm going to take the over there. And Andrew Vaughn, I've talked about him a little bit on these bets because I think FanDuel hadn't really caught up to him yet. They've caught up to him, and rightfully so. His 2+ total bases, though, is still plus money, or even money, I should say, at plus 100 there. Tim Anderson got hurt 18 games ago. They closed their series against the Cubs right at the beginning of June. At that point, Andrew Vaughn was hitting 267, I think, slashing like 267, 319, 390, something along the lines. That's fine, nothing spectacular. His average is now up to 330. He's slugging at 390, and I believe his on base is like 405. In that 18-game stretch when Tim Anderson out. Now, Anderson came back last night, but we're going to count last night. Vaughn is hitting like 416, 450, like right around 500 there for the on base. So he's been just unconscious really for the last 18 games. He's been unbelievable. And he was 4 for 4 last night, had a home run and a double. I think last time when they faced Gausman in Toronto, he took him deep and had a double. So he had 6 total bases on Kevin Gausman. Then he's been really good. The Sox playing a hitter's ballpark. Andrew Vaughn likes to hit in it. He's going to be in the lineup tonight, probably hitting second, so get a bunch of chances. Tim Anderson hits ahead of him, so he gets on base a lot, which means you'll probably see a good amount of hit pitches to hit. I really like Andrew Vaughn 2+ total bases at even money. I think that's still some value there. And if you can find a batting title prop that not a lot of sports books carry him, especially not this early in the season. Right now, he's 4th in the AL, I think 5th in Major League Baseball, but all of these guys, there's one guy, Luis Ariz of the Twins, is hitting about 360. I don't really think that's sustainable. And then there's about 4 guys clumped up from 330 to 332. Andrew Vaughn's one of them. He gets in a really good lineup. He's going to be protected the whole way. And the Sox offense is due for a bounce back after how bad they've been in the first half. So I think if you can find a batting title prop, I think he's a fun bet, and I think one that would be worth tracking throughout the summer.
I like it. I'll poke around and look for that. It's like you said, the White Sox got a good lineup there. So 360, that's pretty high.
Yeah, they got the Twins. He's a scrappy kind of utility infielder who hits. He's a left-handed hitter who hits righties. Singles right-handed pitching to death, and he's been really good so far this year. But also, 360 is really tough to maintain over a while. Coming back to the mean around 330, 320 is projectable to do. And I think if you have a guy who's 30 points behind the current, Major League Baseball batting average leader, you probably find some pretty good value on him there too in a batting title prop. Now, again, those are tough to find. They're not everywhere. I was on FanDuel poking around this morning. I didn't see it. Maybe it's something that pops up later in the summer. But if you can find that, I think Andrew Vaughn is a good one to track.
I can dig it. And since there isn't any baseball this afternoon, let's do some tennis.
Need
one for us
something
tomorrow,
this afternoon.
One for us this afternoon. The first one is this afternoon. WTA Eastbourne. Harriet Dart is going to play Jill Teichmann. The total's at 21.5. I love this over. I had this closer to 22, almost 22.5. The two women play generally very long matches. Again, wouldn't mind an over 2.5 sets bet here. Just didn't like the number I saw at plus 145. Just seems like that market is just juiced too much anymore to find value in some of those numbers. So yeah, over 21.5. If you want to sell to the 22, if you can, that's fine as well. But just should be a nice, long, competitive match. We might even get a tiebreaker or two here. That should be this afternoon, probably around 1:30, maybe even 2 o'clock Eastern. So you got some time to get that one in. And then in Bad Homburg, Alizé Cornet, -3 games. She goes against Tatjana Maria. Maria is admittedly kind of on an upswing here. It could be a little more competitive match. She has pushed the last couple women she's played, but Cornet continues to be really undervalued on grass. It was actually too good for us yesterday to get the over against Kalinskaya. Just kind of took care of business there pretty comfortably. So happy to lay the 3 games, and honestly wouldn't mind taking her money line. I'm seeing right around -170 now. Go ahead and parlay that with some stuff. I think that she's in great shape to win that match. So happy to lay the 3 games there, or, go ahead and put her with something if you got a fun future or something, maybe for the golf tournament this week. Who knows? But Dart Teichmann over 21.5 this afternoon. Cornet -3 games. That'll be early tomorrow morning.
I have no doubt that Andy made jokes and laughed about the name Bad Homburg yesterday, but I have to as well. That's just that's a funny name. I'm guessing that's Germany.
Oh yeah,
makes sense. I like I love the Cornet -3, but you gave it to us with Iga in the French Open. You love this parlay it with something. I like really like the ideas. I really like this favorite. The odds are decent there at -170. Take that and then parlay it with maybe like a future you like to really double, triple, whatever those odds. Give yourself even better odds on a future you really like. That's a smart strategy I hadn't really thought of until the IGA bets he started giving out to around the French Open.
I may or may not have a Cornet Cantlay parlay.
Oh, okay. Let's root for Patrick Cantlay then.
Sort of a half golf pick. I mean, I stole it from Cal, so got to get into that VVIP.
Well, let's tell producer Dan to let Cantlay know we got some money riding on him this weekend that we need a win for him.
I can dig it, but I think that's all the sports we got for us today. Make sure that you check out FanDuel. Again, $200 in free bets. All you got to do is place a $5 wager. Go in, use the link in the description, deposit, $5, make your $5 wager, and I think you're looking at $200 in free bets to use. Is that how it works? I mean, can I really just deposit
$5 wager, win or lose that
easy?
bet, 200 pops in your account. Not that hard. And hey, if you already have an account, call your dad, your mom, brother, sister, neighbor, friend, whatever. You can sign some other people up. Maybe they'll make some bets for you if they're not into betting. There's ways to get these to get some other people signed up, get them involved in the fun too. It's $200 for you pay $5 you get 200. What are the odds on that? That 40 to 1? No.
Something like that. I mean,
something like that.
Again, you can use that 200. It's for a free roll. Put on a nice big underdog. Maybe you get a free vacation out of it.
Maybe parlay a Cornet Cantlay with the $200 in free bets. Who knows? You can use whatever you want, but it's good free money from FanDuel, our partner. So go ahead, take advantage of that.
Awesome. Thanks, FanDuel. Thanks, everybody, for watching. Great job by the chat today. Give us a thumbs up. Click the little subscription bell there. That always makes Andy really happy. And
it does.
If you want to hear some more sports stuff, I bet they're still going on over there at Betsford's Golf. So hop over, and we'll see you tomorrow.